Okay, so I did a lesson recently where I talked about turning the folkier sounding alternating thumb groove into more of a grittier, bluesier groove. And I got a little pushback on the idea that alternating thumb can ever sound like the blues. Now, these were well-intentioned comments, and I really appreciate that someone takes the time to watch and listen and comment. So all I'm trying to say here is, some people did make the caveat, well, okay, so you can have alternating thumb in country blues, but it still sounds too folky for me, meaning them. And also cool, like, that's what music's for. Everybody has an opinion about what they like and what they don't like. But I think this idea that blues can only be like the steady bass or like that four on the floor heavy shuffle thing, it just doesn't make sense. And it's not borne out by actual blues music. So I want to give 3 examples here of stone cold Chicago blues music that, if not literally played with the alternating thumb in all cases, is based on a kind of countrified 2-beat feel that is a Chicago electrified version of older styles of blues that are part and parcel of what makes up the Chicago blues sound. So here we go. All right, here's Exhibit A classic of the Chicago blues repertoire, initially recorded by one of the towering icons of Chicago blues. No, this is not a solo guitar piece. Initially, it's a band arrangement of the tune, but if you were going to try to express that groove as a solo guitar player, you would need the alternating thumb to make it sound like it's supposed to sound. Like this. I submit that Howlin' Wolf's Spoonful is, by any definition, the blues. Next, another 50s repertoire classic made by the other towering icon of 50s blues. Again, done originally in a band arrangement, but if you wanted to express that groove on solo guitar, you would need the alternating thumb to make it happen. Like this. Again, Muddy Waters, Got My Mojo Working. Could there be a song that is more central to the sound of the blues? Again, I don't think so. Now, granted, these first 2 examples, I took band tunes and shoehorned them onto the guitar to prove a point, which maybe isn't playing fair. So let me close with this one. This tune from an icon of the 1960s and the West Side sound, and there are live versions and album versions of this song. It's done by one guy playing the guitar with his thumb and fingers, and it's, one of those test pieces for your right hand coordination because it was done like this on guitar. Magic Sam, looking good. One of the all-time classics, a phenomenal piece of finger picking. It grooves, it's syncopated, it does all the things you want it to do, and it's done with the alternating thumb. So, alternating thumb in the blues, even if you're going to rule out all the country blues musicians, if you're going to rule out Gary Davis and Blind Boy Fuller and Blind Blake, for crying out loud, John Hurt, who granted sounds more folky than bluesy, okay. Even if you're going to take all that off the table and just countless other finger-picking musicians, this feel, this groove, Magic Sam, could it be bluesier than that? I really don't think so. Granted, I get what you mean when you say it sounds folky. I know, but I'm just trying to show that blues, as far as like what we think of as the blues, Chicago blues and onward from the 1960s, it's just not a monolith. There's a lot of grooves and feels. You go back and listen to that chess stuff from the 50s, and half of those tunes aren't even 12-bar blues. All that Howlin' Wolf stuff, a lot of it's just a vamp. Some of those Muddy Waters things, they do all kinds of things with the chord progression. They last for longer on the one chord. They're 24 bars long. They're this, they're that. It just isn't this little shoebox full of just 12-bar shuffles in E. That's all I'm trying to say. It's beautiful, and there's so much of it. Then if you start to open up to all the different possibilities in terms of groove and form and everything else, it just becomes much wider and much more limitless than what we all start off thinking of as like, this is the blues, go-junk, jo-junk, jo-junk, jo-junk. So that is my rant for today. If you've got a comment or a question about today's lesson, of course, please leave it down below. I would love to hear from you. There are also a couple of lessons on my channel about some of this stuff. There's a lesson called the Chicago 2-beat, and there's a lesson on the Magic Sam groove. I'll put links to those down below. And of course, I teach all kinds of fingerstyle blues in my membership, the Fingerstyle 5, steady bass, alternating thumb, all points in between. If you're interested in ongoing, organized lessons to develop your fingerstyle playing further, start to improvise, build your groove, or just work on your right-hand coordination, I encourage you to check out the Fingerstyle 5 at the link below or the link on screen. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.